Okay, you fans of popular culture and science popular culture, I'm going to take you to where Albert Einstein, the great theoretical physicist, lived in the winter of 1930 and 31 at 707 Oakland Avenue in Pasadena. And we're going to come up to it right here at the corner, actually. And thankfully for you fans of science popular culture, it's actually extant, and it looks the way it did that winter of 1930 and 31. And he was living here while being a research fellow at Caltech, and we're about maybe a half a mile, and here it is. We're half a mile west, and here it is. Here's the house that the great theoretical physicist lived in at 707. And as you can see, it's extant, perfectly preserved. And in that picture that I zoomed in on, the only difference is that there's no hedge there, and that cypress tree outside of the front door is gone, but you can see a smidge of that window right there. And I guess they added that addition in the back of that house right there to the right. But he was standing in front of this house with Walter Mayer, his assistant at Caltech. And let me see if I can pan in on that address there, 707. And he stayed here one winter. And this is where the great science and academician lived for that one winter. He was actually here one winter, but then the next two winters he stayed at Caltech on the campus, and he was a visiting fellow. And he wanted to meet Robert Millikan because he was the president of Caltech, and he was also working on the same type of physics that Albert was working on. And at this house right here is where him and Elsa met Charlie Chaplin. And Charlie, at the time, he was filming, he had finished filming City Lights, and he was gonna have the premiere in downtown Los Angeles, and he invited Elsa and Albert to be his guests, special guests. And that was actually the incipient apogee of celebrity of the 20th century. I mean, at that time there were so many famous people, I guess because of the type of media, what with motion pictures and radio and all the types of celebrities, writers, politicians, athletes, science, everything was exploding at that time, and there were so many celebrities. So when Albert appeared in downtown with Charlie, they said it was just quite the enormous spectacle. And it was a silent movie, even though it was 1931 or 30 or 31. It was filmed in 1930, and it was released January 30th of 1931. And Albert, he was working at the Berlin Academy of Sciences, and next to following subsequent winners, when he was making a speech at over here in downtown Pasadena about having peaceful relations with Germany, Hitler had just come to power in that third winter, and he became the Chancellor of Germany, and he sent a telegram to Albert that he was no longer welcomed back. And a little bit of the greatness of this man, when he published the 4 famous papers in 1905, the Annus Mirabilis, that's when he cracked, well, I guess you could say he developed the theory, but he was able to explain it in 4 papers: the photoelectric effect, Brownian motion, special relativity, and the mass energy equivalent equation, E equals mc squared. And in special relativity, he was able to explain the velocity of light is independent of the motion of its source. And then in 1915, he published General Relativity, and what that was the geometric theory of gravitation, where he pictured the Earth, or a stone if you will, on a sheet, and it distorts the sheet and everything falls towards the stone, like his name, Einstein, which incidentally I feel that's where he got the idea, unconsciously of course. Just like Newton, he superseded Newton's mechanics. 200 years of that theory, he blew it away. And I thought it was kind of weird that Newton was obsessed with gravity and mass and weight. And anyway, getting back to general relativity, that's when he came out with his theory of gravitation and light being bent. And lo and behold, in I think they said 1925, they finally were able to see behind the sun in Brazil while there was a solar eclipse. And lo and behold, like I said, they were able to observe, thanks to and they knew what to look for, light being bent by an object of mass like the sun. And then 100 years later, after his Annus Mirabilis, 101 years actually, finally we finally cracked in February of 2016 the ability to observe gravitational waves. Can you believe it? In Louisiana at the LIGO Observatory, the Laser Interferometer Gravitational Observatory. And they finally proved all his theories. And if it wasn't for this man, like I started this video with that music going at the speed of light, we haven't stopped since, and it seems like the world is moving so fast, I think because of his fantastic theories and the ability to be able to write them out and develop it for the world. So wherever you are, Albert, like I say in these videos, good night, sweet Prince.